Hey guys, Sally here. So I have a real quick one. I say it's quick. It's going to be relatively quick, but just wanted to bring this to everyone's attention just for the sake of posterity. Um, I had a flat earther that was commenting on my ISS transit video, my recent one with lunar transit, and he decided to question me about whether or not the ISS was even possibly visible based on its dimensions. So let me just share this thread with you. And the reason I'm sharing this thread with you is because he decided to delete it, which I found very interesting. And so for the sake of preserving it for future generations, I'm going to go ahead and read off this thread. But basically, this guy, Fred D, I guess is how you spell him. I'm just going to call him Fred. He basically says, do you honestly believe you can see an object 356 feet by 250 feet from 250 miles away? And they call us conspiracy theorists. And I immediately say, why are you lying? And he basically asked me, what is he lying about? Well, it's a lie to imply that you can't see the ISS, and that's exactly what I told him. What is the angular dimensions of the ISS at its distance? You imply it's too small. It is not. So again, I ask you, why do you lie? He says, soundly, you should ask that question to NASA. I'm not lying, just stating facts. I already know the answer, and it's easily within the angular resolution capabilities of an amateur telescope or a P900. Show us your math for your claim. I dare you. He responds, soundly, you seem to already have it figured out since it's your equipment that took the video. What are the specs on your P900 lens and eyepiece of your telescope and dimensions of your telescope? Without that, I can't solve anything. Can you show me the math proving what you are seeing is 250 miles up? I said, I asked you specifically to give me the angular dimensions of the ISS at the distance of its orbit and the calculation you use to determine those angular dimensions. You don't need to know anything about a camera to determine that, which is true. You don't need to know anything about a camera. The angular dimensions of an object at a given distance that's it. Those are the angular dimensions. You use cameras to see smaller angles, smaller dimensions, but you don't have to know what the camera is in order to figure out what. So right away, we're starting to find out that this guy doesn't even understand what an angular dimension means, or angular width, or angular diameter, or angular height. You know, what does it mean to say the angular dimensions of an object? He says soundly, why don't you tell me seriously? I'm not a mathematician. I'm looking into it, but it is a bit trying. So if you are going to challenge me and I concede that I cannot answer your question, then please tell me what it is if you are so inclined to try to prove me wrong. And here we have an example of the problem with flat Earth. They hear echoes in their echo chamber about how certain things are impossible or how certain observations don't make sense on the globe, but they don't even understand what they don't even understand what the prediction is. So they're denying things that they don't even understand. They don't understand what the size of the ISS should be, right? From the distance that it is in orbit, 250 miles about above us. So if it's directly above us at 250 miles, and we know its size, we know its dimensions, its physical dimensions, its absolute dimensions, then what is the angular size that we should expect it to be? They don't know that. They don't know that, yet they open up with, it's impossible, right? That's the problem right there. They don't know what they're talking about. but they think they do. And it's really weird. I don't understand how people can operate that way. I certainly can't. If I don't know something, I research it, figure it out, learn about it before I make any claims about it. But these guys, they make claims about it through, pure personal incredulity, and that's it. And they think they're right, and it's the strangest thing. So I actually commented to the wrong thread yesterday, and I realized today because somebody else commented on that same thread, and I realized today that I had posted this in the wrong place. So today, just a little while ago, I posted this on his thread, which is basically just the math, and I'll step everybody through it. The resolution of 220p high resolution video is 1280 by 720 pixels. The distance to the ISS is about 200 miles. That's 1,320,000 feet. The width of the ISS is 356 feet. And if you form a right triangle with those dimensions, then we would use the opposite side is the width of the ISS, and the adjacent side is 1,300,000 or 320,000 feet. So just some really basic trig that the tan of theta equals opposite over adjacent. And then we can say theta is equal to inverse tan of opposite over adjacent. And we just replace these variables and come up with 0.015 degrees and some change. So then we know the pixel width of, the pixel. We want to figure out how many pixels the ISS would take up in 720p image with a 1 degree field of view, which is about what my telescope has, 1 degree field of view, and so does the P900. It's pretty close to 1 degree, so it's a good ballpark area to estimate. And we're talking about 1,280 pixels is 1 degree, making a ratio here. So we want to know how many pixels is in 0.015 degrees, which is the angular width of the ISS. Do the math, and it comes out to about 20 pixels, right? So in 720p HD video filmed at a 1 degree field of view, you would expect the ISS to take up about 20 pixels width. And of course, you can apply the same process to the height. And if you're filming in 4K, it would be obviously even more pixels. If you took a still frame at 12 with a 12 megapixel camera, which is pretty typical for cell phones these days, then you would get even more pixels to work with. And then, of course, if I took a still frame picture, which is what I was hoping to do this last time, but was unable to pull the trigger because I just felt like I wasn't prepared to do it. But if you can get a still frame picture with my camera, which is 42 megapixel camera, then it would be even more pixels. It would be a lot of pixels. And it would be a very cool picture of the ISS, which I hope to get one of these days. So he responds, Soundly, how do you get 0 or 0.015 and some change out of 356 divided by 1,320,000? So, yeah, well, that's not what I did. I know what he's getting at, but I guess it means to say arctan there of that fraction. And then he asks, is that a simple equation like basic division, or is it more complex? So this guy doesn't know trig, which is okay. Not everybody does. I mean, everybody should, but he didn't. And so then I just respond back, arctan. And this is all I have as far as a screenshot goes. Well, that was weird. Just heard sound. Okay, let me see where I'm hearing sound from. And that was very bizarre. I'm not sure where I heard that sound from. Like it sounded like somebody was actually connected. Anyway, so at this point, this guy, or actually, I sent this over to Real Everyday, this thread, and he just happened to screenshot this, um, which was just blind luck, really, because to follow the rest of the thread, we have to actually go into my email because this guy ultimately deleted the thread. And I'm going to show you why he deleted the thread. And it's just an example of the intellectual dishonesty that comes out of flat earthers. So he says, Stanley, how do you get 0.015 degrees out of this? And I responded back, arctan, which you just saw a second ago. And then he responds back, Stanley, I might be wrong because I'm not a mathematician, but if I'm not mistaken, tangent of 356 divided by 1,320,000 is 0.0026. Okay, so again, he's using tangent instead of arctangent, making a mistake. And what he's really trying to say is, let's take this over to Google Calculator for a quick way to show you here. You're really trying to say this here, okay? So he obviously punched that into a calculator somewhere, and then he got this number here, and he thinks that's degrees, but it's not. It's radians, right? So basically, all I did was recognize what error he had made, and I just simply, I mean, anybody can do this. Radians to degrees. Simply went here, did the conversion there, and that's how many degrees those radians are, which is the number I'm using. So yeah, basically I responded back. I simply said arctan of this number is equal to that many radians, which is equal to this many degrees. And he deleted the thread. As soon as he realized that the math held and that it made sense, he deleted the entire thread. That to me is intellectual dishonesty. He should have left it there and just owned up to his mistake. That would be intellectually honest. But he didn't. And because he didn't, I felt the need to just call him out on it. The ISS is visible, and it's easily visible with a P900. It's easily visible with smaller cameras. It is a shadow, especially on a lunar or a solar transit. It's most of the time it's silhouette, so it has really sharp edges. So even if it was 5 pixels wide, which you can get on cameras that have smaller focal lengths, you're still going to see it. It might not be, you might not have all the nice visuals, and details, but you're still going to see something crossing the moon or the sun. You'll see the transit even with smaller cameras. So go try it yourself. Go to Transit Finder. Just go to transitfinder.com. Find your location, which probably shouldn't show everybody where I live, but and just find the next transit that's going to be near your house, and you can catch something like this too. You don't have to have a fancy telescope. You don't have to have a P900. You can do it with probably with anything that has like a 200 millimeter lens on it. Maybe even smaller. I haven't done the calculations, but you can catch it. So just go do it. And that's what I challenge all flat earthers to do, is to go do it and to realize that you can see the ISS transiting the moon, and it's easily visible on many transits on the internet. Anybody can do it. It's really easy to find these days with the transit finder, and just go do it, you know. And whenever you, as a flat earther, are trying to uh, debate with somebody about the facts of the situation, whenever they show you the facts, try and absorb that and learn something. You know, try and make progress, because what we're doing right now, going back and forth with personal incredulity versus evidence, is getting no one anywhere other than flat Earth slowly dying, which is happening. Okay, that's pretty much it. I just wanted to record that, put it on video so that everyone is, everyone is able to see it in the future. Did I stop screen sharing? I must have. Anyway, you get the idea. And just in case I stop screen sharing at the wrong time, I'll screen share again and just provide this one more time, so anybody can read it for themselves. Yeah. So, and also the emails. Yeah. So, Fred D, I guess is how you say your name. Um, you deleted your thread. Not sure why, buddy, but because you did and made it so obvious once you figured out that the math actually worked, I'm just going to record it here for the future. Thanks for joining me, guys. Stanley out.